So this video is really interesting to me. Jesse Waters has a new Fox show. He invited on somebody from the anti-work subreddit. The anti-work subreddit is exactly what it sounds like. I guess it's a bunch of people who are so sick and fed up with the current economy and the way the system works that they basically are like checking out of the system and they're like, I can't do this anymore. I'm just flat out anti-work. It's almost like that, that movie Office Space, phenomenal movie. You should watch it if you haven't. It's almost like those sorts of people have this place where they go and they talk about all their issues, and it's really interesting. So anyway, Jesse Waters talks to this guy, or excuse me, her name is Doreen. I don't know if she's trans or non-binary, but her name's Doreen, and this does not go well at all. This is a train wreck of an interview.
Another group of Americans emerged, those who decided they don't want to work at all. A Reddit page called Anti-Work, Unemployment for All, not just the rich, provides a safe space for these like-minded people who want to do as little as possible and still get paid. The page has become one of the most popular on Reddit. There's now over 1.6 million subscribers. And joining me now is the person who operates this anti-work group, Doreen Ford. All right, so Doreen, why do you like the idea of being home, not working, but still getting paid by corporate America?
Yeah. So there's some misconceptions about the movement. So we're a movement where we want to reduce the amount of work that people feel like they're forced to do. And so we want to still put in effort. We want to put in labor, but we don't want to necessarily be in a position where we feel trapped. You just quoted from Office Space, where that person feels very trapped in their job. I think we're calling for a society where there's less of that. But yeah, absolutely. People still want to do things. They just want to do things where they feel rewarded and they feel like they're in a good spot in their life, and that their job respects them and stuff like that. There's varying.
So Doreen, but you're not being forced to work. This isn't slave labor. You've applied for a job. You've agreed to the terms and conditions of the employment, and you can walk away from that job at any time and quit. So I don't understand really what this is about, except it sounds like maybe people are just being lazy. Are you encouraging people to be lazy?
So I think laziness is a virtue in a society where people constantly want you to be productive 24/7, and it's good to have rest. That doesn't mean you should be resting all the time or not putting effort into things that you care about. But I think one of the
what do you think is like a good work day? How many hours is a solid work day in your ideal society?
Sure. I mean, I think as much as people want. I mean, I personally work. I have like a 25 hour work weeks, which I think is fairly good. So I would like less work hours.
And what do you do, Doreen?
I'm a dog walker.
A dog walker. Okay.
Yes.
And how?
So
how old are you, if you don't mind me asking?
Sure, I'm 30.
You're 30. Okay. And is there something you want to do besides being a dog walker? Do you aspire to do anything more than dog walking, or is that kind of your pinnacle?
I love working with dogs. If I had to do this for the rest of my life, I wouldn't be super complaining. Dogs are wonderful animals. But I would love to teach. I would love to work with people and stuff like that.
What would you teach, Doreen?
Philosophy mostly. Just introduction to philosophy, critical thinking, reason, stuff like that. Okay.
Well, I would love to take your class, Doreen. I would just be taking notes the whole time. And you know what? A professor's a very similar schedule than something that you're imagining. So I think that actually might work perfectly for you. Listen, I think this might not be the greatest idea, but who am I to judge?
So let's break this down. The right has built this caricature of the left, this straw man of the left, that this is what the left is. The left is just lazy, and they don't want to work. And so that makes it easier for them to frame the conversation as if this is just a personal moral failing on your part. This is a discipline problem on your part. You're not raised with the proper values, and so this is like a cultural issue, and you're the problem. And this is the embodiment of the problem. Now, that caricature is exactly that. It's a caricature. And it's not accurate because the overwhelming majority of people want to be able to provide for their families and be productive. Now, there's always going to be some small percentage of people who genuinely are like the Office Space character, Peter, and the other ones who are just like, I just have dreams of doing absolutely nothing. Let me watch kung fu movies all day. And look, that's real. But again, I think the numbers are tiny. I think maybe you'd be talking about minimum 1% of the of people in the country, or probably more generally like in the world. Maximum, maybe 15%. Like that's the range. Anywhere from 1% to 15% might actually fit this caricature. But my issue with the anti-work thing is that they're missing the main point. The main point is going right over their heads. So listen, I don't begrudge people with the current economy and the way it's structured and the way capitalism functions. I actually don't begrudge people who have this instinct of like, I just want to say fuck it and walk away. Like I'm anti-work. I don't begrudge people that. And in fact, under the current system, maybe that percentage of people who want to do that is a lot higher than the numbers I just discussed. But the reason for that is because the work is alienating. And because you're effectively forced into these positions that are not fulfilling and they're not meaningful and they don't give you purpose in life and clarity in life. And so my issue with this is they're not getting to the root of the actual problem. The root of the problem is we have this exploitative capitalist system which makes people feel this way. So how do you solve this? Well, you solve this by implementing leftist policies. So what do I mean by that? At the bare minimum, if we had a thriving social democracy, that would then give people more leeway to actually pick a career that is fulfilling and meaningful for them. If people's basic needs are met, if you have healthcare, if you have housing, if you have education, including higher education and even including like trade school, if you have a universal basic income where your basic needs are met. So in other words, if we're having a 100-yard dash and everybody starts at the 0-yard line and then they fire that gun in the air and you all take off, the overwhelming majority of people are going to run because they feel like, hey, it's a fair system, it's a fair game. Now I have a starting point where I can actually afford to take a month or take a year or 2 years to really determine what do I actually want to do with my time? What do I actually want to do with my life? And when you get to a position like that, people will find more meaningful work. Now, that's the basic answer, right? But there's an even more complex answer, which I think is also true, which is if you democratize the workplace more than it is right now, then people will feel like they have a direct role and a direct say in their own destiny and the destiny of the company that they have to work for. And so if you have that responsibility, you take it more seriously and you're not alienated from your own labor and the fruits of your own labor as well. So if you have more of a democratic economy, people feel like they have more of a stake in what's going on, and then they will much more support work and want to work. So the real problem here is the current system as it's structured. Because listen, if you have a system where you work a full-time job, you don't make enough money to survive, you're doing some menial labor that you actively dislike. I forget what the number was. What was it, like 20% of people feel engaged at work? That's like saying only 20% of people, I forget the exact number, so correct me if I'm wrong, guys, in the comment section, but something like only 20% of people or 10% of people actually like their job. Well, that's the problem. The problem is the way we've structured the economy, people are doing jobs they don't want to do for wages that they can't survive on. And so this anti-work thing is just sort of like you're missing the main point. If you take all of this energy and push it towards those solutions, whether it's let's get us to a thriving social democracy, universal healthcare, universal education, including higher education and trade school, paid vacation time by law, universal basic income. If they took all this energy and put it towards that, then way more of them would want to work and would feel connected to their work and it would be meaningful. And then, of course, final thing is like also just the general work-life balance in this work-leisure balance in this country is just off. You know, like we should have a work week that's maybe 30 hours. We should have a 4-day work week. And by the way, we've learned from studies on this that in a 4-day work week, people are actually just as productive as a 5-day work week, if not more productive, and they self-report being happier because they're not overworked. So that's another change that you could make that would have better outcomes. But the anti-work thing is like, it's just a way to blow off steam, but you're missing the main point. And so they just want to sort of check out of the system and become that caricature and become that straw man that the right has of the left. And that does no favors optically or substantively for the left. So, and by the way, Doreen was, I think, fired as some moderator or something of the anti-work subreddit. But look, man, I get it. I get the concerns. I get that feeling, but you have to understand the feeling is not inherent in you. The feeling is a natural byproduct of a corrupt, rigged capitalist system. That's the bottom line. I hope people can digest that point, because then you can use this energy towards more productive ends. You could use this energy towards fighting for something like Medicare for all and free college and a living wage and universal basic income. You can use this energy towards democratizing the workplace much more than it currently is. If you use this energy for that, if you use this energy for a general strike where you have those demands, well, then you're getting somewhere. And by the way, I think that there was over 1 million, like 1.6 million people as part of the subreddit. So it's a lot of people. It's a lot of people. And even under an ideal system, yes, maybe you'll have 1% or 5% or at most 15% of people who still just want to sort of check out of the system. Okay, fair enough, but the overwhelming majority will not want to do that. And that's worth something. So there you have it. I hope people in the anti-work subreddit understand where I'm coming from, because I'm not knocking them. But clearly, if you're going to have somebody, you know, represent, and Doreen didn't get the approval of the subreddit before doing this, so I think they were all mad at her. But yeah, if you're going to have somebody to represent the movement, they should be well-spoken. The optics should be better. Wear a suit or something. Look official. Have your talking points nice and sharp so that they land. Instead, this is Jesse Waters just beating up on somebody, when this is an interesting viewpoint that deserves a much more academic and intelligent and thoughtful conversation than it got. Hey, y'all, do me a favor and like and subscribe. It helps out big time in the algorithm. Click the bell as well for notifications when videos drop, and watch that video on screen right now. You know you want to.